Tonight on UMass This Week, Blarney Blowout, the controversy the St. Patty's Day celebration is causing.
And see why two people are out of the running for president and vice president in this year's SGA elections. I'm Erin Wolosz.
And I'm Mark Daly. A few days after happening, Blarney Blowout is still being talked about. Chris Herrick has more on what happened this past weekend and yesterday when students gathered outside the student union to protest.
Last Saturday, thousands of students gathered throughout the town of Amherst for the annual Blarney Blowout. Although this event isn't sanctioned by the university, it has become a tradition in Amherst and attracts visitors from all over New England. The tradition began when Amherst gave bars permission to open up very early in the day for one day the week before St. Patrick's Day. This is to make up for the lost revenue that occurs during spring break each year. Prior to the events that occurred on Saturday, students were warned via email not to participate in large off-campus gatherings. However, this did not stop thousands of students from gathering in nearby townhouses and fraternities. When crowds became unruly, police officers stepped in and began to disperse the crowds. Police officers wearing riot gear used pepper spray and pepper bullets to help disperse the large groups of students. They forced students off private property while dodging bottles, ice, and cans that were thrown at them.
90% of the kids that I was with, that I saw at all the parties, were just trying to have a good time. They were drinking, barbecuing, listening to good music. It's that 10% who take it to the next level by throwing beer cans and snowballs, and they try and break things.
73 people were arrested, and some people believe the police used excessive force.
It just seemed like no matter what someone's motive was trying to get away or if they were being belligerent, there was still an excessive use of force used at the blowout.
Last Tuesday, around 100 people gathered outside the student union to show their disapproval of how the situation was handled. Grace Gustafson, a UMass junior, was in attendance at Blarney and helped set up the march and explained why.
I think that we all need to come together as a student body and kind of talk to our administration and figure out ways that in the future we won't have to have all this violence occurring at events like this.
Students walked from the student union building to Whitmore to protest what they believe is police brutality that occurred during the Blarney blowout.
Hey, hey, whoa, whoa. Police brutality's got to go. Hey.
After nearly 10 minutes of chanting outside the Whitmore building, Associate Chancellor Susan Pearson and Associate Dean of Students David Villancourt came out and listened to the demands of the protesters. The demands included a formal investigation into the events that occurred last Friday, a formal apology from the Amherst Police Department, and a public meeting with the Chancellor.
Our third is that we set up a public meeting that is publicized to students, that is we have appropriate time to respond to, unlike many of the meetings that are set up with administration.
And that's in a public space.
In a public space with the Chancellor and with John Kennedy to address these issues as a student body.
Reporting from UMass Amherst, Chris Herrick.
Blarney Blowout received national coverage from different media outlets. It was most recently discovered that more than half of those arrested at Blarney were in fact not UMass students.
Today is the last day you can vote for next year's SGA president and vice president. Originally, the polls opened on Sunday and were set to close early this morning, and we would have already known the winner in the elections. However, the voting period was extended due to the bylaws that stated an election must at least be 3 school days. The polls close at 11:59 tonight, and the election committee will begin tallying the votes immediately after. Students can vote online at Campus Pulse.
You may have noticed that 6 tickets were at the debate, but 5 tickets remain in the running. The SGA Election Commission voted Friday to have Seth Perkins and Isilda Jada removed from the ballot. An audit showed that the two who called themselves the Hammer were using SGA funds to help their campaign. Perkins and Jada currently serve as Orchard Hill governor and lieutenant governor, but possibly not for long. Current President Zachary Broughton told the Daily Collegian that Orchard Hill's funds have been frozen and impeachment is being considered.
The UMass basketball team kicks off its postseason play tomorrow night. They will take on conference rival URI in the first round of the Atlantic 10 tournament at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. The Minutemen are ranked 6th in the conference and finished the season with a 23-7 record. They are looking for their first NCAA tournament appearance in more than 15 years and wins this weekend will help secure placement in next weekend's March Madness tournament. The game can be seen on NBC Sports Network starting at 9 p.m., and the winner of this game will play George Washington University on Friday.
The University Programming Council announced its lineup for this year's spring concert on Sunday night, releasing a promo video for the concert on their Facebook page. This year's performers will feature Slightly Stoopid, the Goo Goo Dolls, and Wale. The concert will also include the Goo Goo Dolls opener, Run River North, and a student band that will be voted on by the student body in the annual Battle of the Bands. Students are hoping this year's spring concert will be an improvement on last year's highly criticized show.
WMUA and the UMass Journalism Department celebrated the 95th birthday of local peace activist Frances Crowe yesterday in the Bowker Auditorium at UMass. Other attendees included Amy Goodman and Mike Burke, both of whom are from the radio-television show titled Democracy Now! Crowe, who holds degrees from Stevens College in Columbia, Missouri, and Syracuse University, gave a speech and took questions from the audience. Locally, Crowe has helped create the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom in the Northampton chapter, the Sane Nuclear Policy Committee, and the Valley Peace Center. According to the event details, she has worked to, quote, oppose war through war tax resistance and is an eco-pacifist lifestyle, end quote. Coming up tonight, it's day 5 in search for a missing plane.
And a massive explosion in East Harlem earlier today.
Ukraine's interim prime minister met with President Obama today in Washington for help with Ukraine's fragile government and economy. Arseniy Yatsenuk became one of Ukraine's new leaders after months of protest against its former president and government. Russia still occupies the Crimean Peninsula, and on Sunday, Crimea will vote on whether it wants to stay part of Ukraine or join Russia. Ukraine said it will not prevent Crimea with military force from seceding if they decide to join Russia.
Today, Malaysian authorities revealed the last communication with the missing Malaysia Airlines flight MH370. The last they heard from the flight, moments before it disappeared, was that everything was normal aboard. But it has been 5 days since the flight vanished, and there is still no clue as to where it has gone. BBC News reports about 42 ships and 39 aircraft from several countries are searching for the plane in a radius of over 27,000 square nautical miles. The flight, with 239 people on board, was headed to Beijing.
2 5-story apartment buildings collapsed this morning in East Harlem after a massive explosion that could be felt blocks away. According to authorities, a gas leak caused the massive explosion. Authorities have said at least 2 people are dead and more than 24 were injured, including 2 FBI agents who were in the area. At least 10 others remain missing. Con Edison, New York, who provides electricity and natural gas to most of the city, issued a statement saying they received a call about a gas leak at 9:13 this morning and that the explosion occurred while workers were on their way to investigate. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio said, quote, "This is a tragedy of the worst kind because there was no indication in time to save people," end quote. Hundreds of emergency personnel remain on scene while they search for the missing.
Time is running out for a compromise between organizers of the Boston St. Patrick's Day Parade and Mass Equality, a gay rights group that applied to walk in the parade on behalf of gay veterans. The Allied War Veterans Council, which organizes the event each year, says they denied the group's application to march because they did not provide acceptable proof that the marchers were in fact veterans. Furthermore, the group has never allowed political messages of any sort to be broadcast during the parade. Mass Equality assured the public their members are veterans and denied a compromise that would have allowed the group to walk as long as they did not make note of or draw attention to their sexual orientation. Congressman Stephen Lynch and Boston Mayor Marty Walsh have both said they will refuse to march if gay veterans are not allowed to.
Coming up, President Obama makes a guest appearance on a comedy chat show.
And a house pet turns very violent towards its family. Stay with us, please.
Sonia Sanchez spoke at the Mullins Center Monday evening for the event, Black Women and the Arts in the 21st Century. The 3 women exchanged their views on various topics. Besides the conversation, there were also music from the New Africa House Ensemble and the Voices of New Africa Choir. The event was presented by the W.E.B. Du Bois Afro-American Studies Department and was meant to be a part of Black History Month in February, but had to be rescheduled due to the weather.
Marky Ramone, drummer for the rock legends The Ramones, will be speaking to students on campus on Monday, March 24th. The event, sponsored by the University of University Programming Council will take place in the Student Union Ballroom at 7. No tickets will be sold for the free event, so seats are first come, first serve. According to UPC, Ramon will speak about his time in the music business, overcoming alcohol and drug abuse, and give students insider tips on how to navigate the music industry.
Comedian and actor Zach Galifianakis hosts a spoof chat show called Between Two Ferns, and his latest guest was President Obama. For 6 minutes, the Commander-in-Chief and Galifianakis exchange insults with each other in the Funny or Die sponsored video. At one point during the interview, Galifianakis commented, quote, "It must kind of stink though, that you can't run, 3 times," end quote. To which Obama replied, quote, "No, actually, I think it's a good idea. If I ran a 3rd time, it'd be sort of like doing a 3rd Hangover movie. It really didn't work out very well, did it?" End quote. The video, while humorous, was also to promote the Affordable Health Care Act and its website, healthcare.gov, before the March 31st cutoff for the 2014 coverage.
While most times household pets are cute and lovable, a family in Portland, Oregon, learned the hard way what happens when a cat gets angry. Lee Palmer was forced to call 911 when their 22-pound cat turned vicious and began attacking the family after the 7-month-old child pulled its tail. The cat had trapped Palmer, his girlfriend, the 7-month-old, and their family dog into the bedroom and can be heard screeching in the background. We have the 911 call.
Us. He's at our door, bedroom door.
One moment, okay?
You hear him screaming about the cat?
Yeah, I hear him. Hold on. Keep your door shut, okay?
The family says they hope to keep the cat despite its violent outburst, claiming it has become part of their family.
Coming up, tips for students on how to leave their dorm rooms before spring break.
And the rec center is seeing a record number of attendance. Stay with us to see why. Spring break begins this Friday, but before you put on that bathing suit, there are some things you need to remember before leaving your campus housing. Students must check out of their rooms by 6 p.m. on Friday the 14th, with the exception of those living in break housing or the North or Lincoln apartments. Make sure to be out on time or you may be forced to pay $150. The residence halls will reopen on Sunday, March 23rd at 10 a.m. Students should also remember that your rooms may be looked over by staff over break, so it'd be a good idea to make sure you're not violating any rules or regulations.
So Erin, any plans for spring break?
Not too much. I'm headed to New York City for a couple days, so that'll be pretty fun. How about you?
Just gonna go home. I probably get some stuff done that I haven't done since being here.
Anything better than school, huh?
Absolutely. Well, Kate Ferrente went to the rec center to see what UMass students are doing to gear up for spring break.
On Friday, March 14th, UMass residence halls will close at 6 p.m. for spring break. With midterms winding down and warm weather right around the corner, more students are rushing to the gym.
Setting up the rec center a little more than usual, made some appointments at Golden Booty, nothing too exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot busier. I guess during the regular hours that it's just busy from 4 to 6, there's a lot more people than usual, and there's a lot of guys playing basketball and everything, so it's been pretty busy.
Lately it's been pretty packed. I've come here at 4 o'clock and it's usually dead, but there's been a line out to here.
Probably I would come twice a day instead of once a day, in the morning and at night, gotta get the bikini body ready.
Both students and fitness instructors have noticed an increase in traffic at the rec center.
I've noticed that attendance in my class has gone up. I had 75 girls in my class the other day, and I know it's because of spring break.
With spring break right around the corner, students rush to the rec center to get their last-minute workouts in for their bikini bodies. But are students taking their health into consideration?
Recreation staff want students to know how crucial it is to eat the right foods before a workout, especially when exercising more than usual.
In my classes, I make sure that girls are just going about things the right way, they're eating before they take a class, they're not starving themselves, just kind of being healthy and doing things the right way.
But students should not expect to see drastic results right away.
You're looking at, a good solid 12 weeks of hard work before you're going to really see any kind of change. So it's consistency, it's dedication, and it's kind of that willingness to do it day in and day out, even though you may not physically see the results right away.
It is more about consistency and balancing rather than cramming the last few workouts in right before break. So stay healthy, UMass. For UMass This Week, I'm Kate Ferrante.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight. For more news updates, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'm Mark Daly.
And I'm Erin Wolosz. Have a good night and a wonderful spring break.